Well, welcome back. We took last week off, and hopefully Ellen rejoins us. She had some technical difficulties. I think Casper actually shut off the phone on her, so we'll see if she decides to rejoin. Let's see. It looks like she's working out her technical difficulties. Hey, look who's back.
My technical difficulties are spelled Casper.
That they are. I was watching in the background as the countdown was going, and I'm like, he's good. And then all of a sudden you were like gone. But I could not stop laughing because I saw what he was doing. For you guys that don't know, when we do the countdown into the show, the 30-second countdown, I can still see what's going on Ellen's camera, and Casper was like all up in the camera, just being crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling everybody, we took last week off. Ellen had some stuff going on. Just I think you had just gotten back from vacation on Sunday or something like that, and yeah. So other than that, how was vacation? Vacation was good,
Train ride was fun. It was nice being in Colorado. I enjoyed seeing a lot of things I'd never seen before.
and the weather was good.
The weather was good. The weather was hot. They were all complaining it was hot. Of course, I left here and it was 105, so 95 was, cool off for me.
Yeah, it's funny how just 10 degrees difference. It's absolutely beautiful here today. I've legitimately got for those who have watched the podcast before. Um, Obviously there are some that just listen to the audio, but for those who have watched the podcast before, normally the curtains are closed behind me. It was so nice out today. I came up to the office probably an hour and a half ago, and I opened the windows, turned on the fan. It's, I think, 81, 82 degrees. I know that, like up by my mom's place, it is at night, I think it's getting into like the low 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I do. And I'm really hoping that that is the kind of weather that we have when you and I are in Michigan in 3 weeks, no, 2 weeks,
Two,
two
2 weeks from tomorrow.
2 weeks from tomorrow. I just realized that because my stepdad's birthday is this Friday and mine is 2 weeks after that, which yet again in Michigan, I get to spend my birthday with Ellen at a Midwest race.
Yeah.
Last like 3 years in a row, I think I've been in Michigan for my birthday. So
Mm-hmm. Or driving between Yellow Bullet and Michigan.
that's true. So,
Still haven't remedied that problem. Cheers.
what what's going on in Ellen's world? As far as I know that you and I have talked that you're preparing for the big SmackDown race in September. But what else is going on? Like what has kind of tripped your interest in the world of motorsports lately?
I've been very invested in following Jack Beckman. I I've worked in NHRA. I've worked for Cruz, worked for Tony Pedregon. I've been involved in NHRA for like 12 years now. I mean, we all love John Force. We're just going to check that off the list. It's a given. But what people don't see was the inside of John's actual team and Brittany's actual team. Those guys have been struggling. It's a struggle. It's hard. You know, after Ronnie Hobbs passed away, I couldn't go to the starting line to watch because I thought at that point my life was just normal. Cars crashed, people were going to get hurt. That was it. I am not saying that's what John and Brittany's team thinks, but there's a difference. And Jack Beckman has come in like gangbusters, and not I'm taking over the team, not John's gone, I'm not kicking Brittany out or Austin out, but just hey, I'm here to fulfill this job right now. And it's really neat. His interviews this weekend were very brief, but very positive and very uplifting. And I'm happy that that team is back to the track racing. I just think it was very neat. And I thought the showmanship between J.R. Todd and Ron Capps this weekend was amazing. Did you see that story?
I I tried to follow along with um what you had posted in regards to J.R. Todd. Correct me if I'm wrong. J.R. Todd blew up a body, hurt the chassis, went to a backup car, blew up the body on the backup car, and then there was, your post was, it brought in this whole gray area of discussion where it says you cannot go racing with a car that you've already replaced. So what they did is they borrowed Ron Cap's backup body and put it on J.R. Todd's chassis for J.R. to be able to continue. So
had it been that JR's chassis was damaged the second blow up, he would have not been allowed to continue, as far as I know. I had a little chat with Jason Galvin and just, with some different people who are interpreting the rules. So you could replace the chassis once during the event, which he had done. The body you can replace as many times as you want. You can use someone else's chassis if that chassis hasn't competed in the race. However, so let's just say you wanted to borrow Ron Cap's whole car. Can't. Ron Cap's ran his car in the race. It was eliminated. Can't go back to the chassis he blew up at qualifying because he's already run it, and you're allowed one chassis change per race. So they determined very quickly that the chassis was fine, the body was not. They borrowed Ron Cap's body, and every body and every chassis mounts a little bit different. More the same in your own camp, but different. The cage is built for the person. So I remember when I worked for Tony Pedregon, we, changed bodies often because we had a lot of sponsors and had to wrap and rewrap. But you always had to make sure the escape hatch on the top fit just right around that bar, because the slightest little blow up and the body jars and you can't get out the escape hatch, you're in trouble.
So then let me ask you, because you had mentioned he wouldn't have been able to borrow Ron's entire car because Ron had already raced that car. If Ron had an entire backup car, or somebody had a backup car, or a car that did not qualify, would they have been able to use that instead?
Well, the two-parter of that is, if it ran at all in competition, even if you didn't qualify, it ran in competition because you ran in competition qualifying run. You can only, to my interpretation, you can only make one chassis change per event. So he had made that already.
So he would have just been limited to the body part, the body section of it, if you will.
Right. And he had at least 5 teams worth of people over there. Every crew chief whose car had been eliminated at that point was helping. And I promise you, if the chassis was compromised at all, there was no one sending that car down the track.
Yeah, I did see a lot of stuff on social media about that, but that also gets me to my next question, because I know that you have been longtime friends with him, and it's not obviously something that I talk about a lot. Thoughts on Stevie Jackson taking Shadow, which we all know is... It's, as much as I hate to say baddest door car, on the planet, I do. It's hard to argue with the ET. You can't argue with the times that car's put down. It's, I guess, going to be running in Pro Mod at Indy, and Indy is, for those that don't follow NHRA or drag racing in general, Indy is really the Super Bowl of NHRA, if you will.
It is.
It's the creme de la creme of. Yeah. And here's the thing, I saw something today on the media space, or media, where they're going to put media for Indy. And I just kind of giggled about it. My response was, people go to Indy because it's historic. Other than that, Indy is a shithole.
That's my... Towers not finished yet?
No, they're not.
Okay. I didn't think so, but I haven't followed it enough.
Apparently, Kevin McKenna said that I think that, I want to say PR reps are going to be in the Circle Track Tower, and then media, it will be like if you walk out the door of the media center, you'll be facing the top end of the track. So it's going to be a long walk for a lot of photographers if they choose to use a media center. And
But
again,
honestly, really that would be fine with me.
my personal opinion about Indy is probably not the same that Ellen or
Oh,
other people have. Like the first time I rolled into Indy was for either NMCA or PDRA, and I'm like, this is Indy? Like, was not impressed. Have never.
because it's the U.S. Nationals, everybody thinks it's the nicest, best, perfect track in the country. And I mean, I'll be honest, it's probably not my top 20. But they are doing a lot of improvements, like tearing down the tower and putting it up. They're moving pit areas to where they make sense. You know, I don't think there was anything as funny as last year or the year before. Stevie Jackson took an aerial photo of where the Pro Mod pits are and put "We are here." And it wasn't that far, but it looked like it was like 4 miles away.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts about him taking the radial car? And this is not the first time that we've seen an NHRA somebody compete in NHRA Pro Mod with a car that's been on radials before, or vice versa. So, what are your thoughts? I mean, Stevie is excellent at self promotion. Him and Cletus and Justin Swanstrom and others are great at self promotion. Um, Obviously, it's put down numbers on small tires before. It's raced on big tires. I mean, he can drive either one. But what are your thoughts about having that as part of the big show, if you will? And what do you think the chances are of him doing well and being successful at Indy with that car?
Couple things. I've not spoken to him recently, so I'm not going to say that, I know what's going on or whatever. I did have a conversation with him, a text conversation with him around Gainesville time. And I said, okay, the entry list came out. Sydney's not on it, or Sydney's on it. You're not on it. Is there an official what your plan is? And he said, when Sydney's car is running good and we're more comfortable, I may get an A seat for a couple of races or whatever, but it will not be anytime soon. And my focus is on Sydney. So fast forward, March, we're in August, so several months. You'll remember at the throwdown in Tulsa, what year was it? Several years ago, 3-4 years ago, Stevie had an unfortunate incident with Pro Mod and had Shadow in the trailer testing at Tulsa to get ready to go Pro Mod racing with it. So he's done that with his radial car before. He mentioned I don't remember the number, but the tremendous amount of things that had to be changed. Obviously, weight shifting, moving weight around, blower overdrive, motor size. It's not just take the radials off and bolt some big tires on. It's not even close to that. They're almost essentially two different cars in the same car. Now, then you flip on over to, Eric Gustafson, Jason Lee, Cam Hensley, who I think they're onto a purpose-built Pro Mod now, but they were literally changing tires and setups on that car on a weekend by weekend basis and did a pretty dang good job of it. But that is nobody's idea, plan, thought, period. So, I mean, Stevie, again, I'm not speaking for him. You don't just have an extra $300,000 laying around that you can have a Pro Mod in a radial car anymore. You can follow Stevie's social and see that he has built a new shop, which he needs to further his tuning machine shop in-house stuff. So I feel like he's really spent some time and dialed down on building up his company and things like that, and we all know your home business, whatever your business is, sometimes you have to step back to move forward. And again, not speaking for him, but he has been out of the limelight a lot in the last couple of years. And it seems like he's building his future, and perhaps building a future towards tuning and not necessarily always be driving. And I applaud that for somebody who's 40 to set that in place, set that in motion.
So do you think he'll be successful at Indy with Shadow? I mean, my opinion is it's hard to bet against the man. I mean, he's proven it no matter what he's ever driven. He's shown that he can do it. So
I know he got a Wally with Shadow 2.0 in NHRA Pro Mod trim. And I believe it was the first, second, or third attempt. So I definitely think it's possible. I also don't think he's going to take the car out and, roll it out of the trailer and debut it at Indy. That's,
he's not gonna go out there and let himself get embarrassed. That's not the way this works.
And if you've not followed, 15, 18 years of Stevie, every pass you see him make in public, he's made 3 where no one has even known where he is in what part of the country. And he would haul that car to Carolina Dragway a million times and make passes, or Darlington or Steele or SGMP. And he was not afraid to drive that car drag it hundreds of miles so no one would know or see where he was testing. So when he's quiet, it's trouble.
Staying on the NHRA theme, this last weekend, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name because I'll probably screw it up anyways. Is the first name Ida? Ida?
Ida. Because okay. It's not Ida like Idaho potato. That's what I was thinking. It's okay. Ida.
That
was great.
Former FIA world champion, I think last year actually. And I can tell that there are a lot of excited people regarding her, because this was her debut and went to the semis, if I remember correctly. And I can tell when I put out press releases that the teams provide to us, when I put these out on the website, there are certain drivers, Ron Capps, Antron Brown, that the press releases they do really well. People are really interested. Mm-hmm. She is one that a lot of people are really, really interested in. And it's a fresh face. There's a whole lot of aspects on why people are interested in her. So I guess you've worked with smaller teams before, and not necessarily up and coming. I like Lex June, and even Tony went at that point in his career when he was owner driver, I believe, and Cruz is owner driver. What kind of I think she's great for the sport, but what are your thoughts on her, and then also your thoughts on up and coming fresh faces? And because you and I have discussed how much we need, I don't want to say new blood, but how much we need more of that within our sport.
Very much so. I know you don't usually watch much of the NHRA broadcast, consistency, but I was home most of the weekend and had it on listening to it. And Ron Capps said very clearly that he will have a top fuel car in 2026 in his team. So I thought, wow, that's very interesting. And he said, you'll know the person, blah, 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 blah. He didn't give any hints as to who it is, but I was like, that is good news. That's really good news. And Ida won first round against Steve Torrance, and I'm certain you could not miss a gasp from anyone at the Brainerd facility when that happened, because, there's not even close to anyone that thought that would happen. Not that we don't believe in her, but she beat Steve Torrance on a hole shot, if I'm not mistaken. Because there were only 14 cars, she had a competition bye round, second round. Third round, I believe she in the semis was lined up against Sean Langdon, and she just plain nerved herself and red lit like 334. And it was sad. I felt bad. I wanted her to at least have a good run down the track, and she was emotional on the top end, and I'm sorry, and this is only like my 12th full pass in this car, and the driver has to get better. And she's She's pretty. She's well spoken. She knows about cars. Loved having her part of it. I met her last year at PRI when she was on the stage, and I love having new people, and not just females, but new people. You know, we technically lost a female this year because Leah's not racing, so I'm happy to have her.
And what I really like is when drivers take responsibility for what they need to do to improve and get better, things like that. I think instead of playing the blame game, well, the tune-up wasn't there, or this wasn't there, or whatever it is, drivers that just take ownership of their own mishaps, I think that says a lot about their character as well.
I found this week, real quick, watching this broadcast, that the drivers seemed way more laid back and happy than usual. Like Daniel Wilkerson, Austin Prock, they were out there with the t-shirt cannon shooting t-shirts into the stands. It just seemed like everybody has, I don't know, I guess at this point you just breathe. If you're in the top 10 at Indy, you're moving on after Indy in the countdown. If not, you're not. And there's only so much you can do at this point.
Or maybe they're starting to realize that this is supposed to be fun.
Or you realize that John Force may or may not ever race again, and he was a huge personality, and I hope these people realize that we need to bring the personality in.
Oh, I agree. You've been to Brainerd. You've gone to the Brainerd races before. Obviously, social media. I have never been to the track in Brainerd. Obviously, I am very... And you can vouch for this. A lot of people who don't know me personally is loud, boisterous, whatever words that you want to use. But when we're at the track, for the most part, especially when I'm not photographing racing, I'm one of the most low-key people that you will ever meet. I'm not interested in the partying and the socializing after hours and things like that. I'm in the car going back to the hotel or whatever it is. And, but the zoo is a huge thing in Brainerd. It is. And I think sometimes people are more interested in going to the zoo than they are the race itself. A story that you want to share, like, I'm sure that you've been to the zoo. Any story that you can actually share without getting anybody in trouble, for those who have not experienced it.
It's Mardi Gras at the racetrack. It's insane. I don't know if you followed Daniel Green's social media post this weekend, but he was at Brainerd for NHRA to cover the snowmobiles, and he went to the zoo a couple times, and he doesn't drink. And he's just like, you wouldn't believe this, or here's a picture, you wouldn't believe this moment. I'm like, oh yeah. I said, you got to look around the zoo, and 3/4 of the people at the zoo don't ever buy tickets into that race. Like, they are there for the party, and I am not even exaggerating. They have one night, they do more concerts. One night they have vehicle races, and you have to build some sort of ridiculous, stupid vehicle that you're probably going to get injured on and race it at the zoo. And oh no, this isn't limited to just the fans and the spectators. The teams go and the drivers go. And if there was ever a reason to use the phrase, what happens somewhere stays there, it is at the zoo. I saw a driver break his ankle at the zoo. I've seen many bloody, fall down, injured with whatever projectile, flaming, sparkling, something or other they found. Yeah.
So complete debauchery is what you're saying.
It is. And it's just, I mean, no one's out drinking and driving per se. I guess you technically are drinking and driving if you have a motorized something, but it's very contained to a small area. I'm not condoning drinking and driving, but this is like, it's a campground that there happens to be a race the same weekend. And it's epic. It's where the nitro blender started.
Do you think we need more of that in the motorsports world? Because like,
I don't think anybody can handle more than one zoo.
Well, I mean, just in general. I mean, I look at once in a while I'll look at social media from dirt track racing, and
Mhm.
I grew up in a part of the country where dirt track racing was huge and still is. And truck and tractor pulls are, every weekend from Memorial Day to Labor Day, you're going to find a truck and tractor pull. And it's fun. And I think that in drag racing we've got away from given. I'm not going to sit out in like the zoo would. We were on the road for 5 years together. That I'm not probably going to do the zoo, and if I do, I'm probably going to be annoyed by it. I'll probably have a little bit of fun, but in general, I just it's not my thing. Um, though I could probably have some fun if I learned to lighten up a little bit.
And did I mention? I mean, not that you can't get everything you want in the world to drink. It's almost like an endless buffet line. Like, you pass by and someone's like, "Hey, you want a hot dog? Hey, you want a turkey?" Like, you don't pay for it. You don't pay for the drinks. It's like it's tailgating at the track. It's epic. It is flat out epic.
Honestly, the things that I'm missing right now in drag racing are the early years of Lights Out or No Mercy, the early years of Yellow Bullet, and when I went to War in the Woods last year, it reminded me of those things, like
Mm-hmm.
the old school, kicking in the fans just super. And I'm not saying the fans don't enjoy that nowadays. The pits were very different at War than other places. People have this connotation about no prep racing, that it's just this giant unserious party, and it could not be farther from the truth. When the racing was done at the end of the night, you could damn near hear a pin drop at that place. It was so quiet. Um, it's not like it was, take a Lights Out 7-8 years ago, where people are still staggering around at 6 o'clock in the morning and trying to find their own pit area. And yes, there have been times, Lights Out 4, 4, yeah, I think it was Lights Out 4, where Justin and Ben had to drive around in the dark to find me in the pits because we had rained out and I was so inebriated that the only thing I could tell them was I was standing next to a black trailer, in a sea of black and white trailers at night at SGMP, and the lights were already out. And yeah, they had to get me back to the hotel, and yeah, it was a whole mess. So yeah, I've been there, I've done that. So I'm not a complete stick in the mud. Just some things are better left to other people than me. But do we need, for the fans, do we need more of that? Because I know that, like, I see a lot of, when it comes to the zoo, I see a lot of the pro team drivers, especially in the nitro ranks. They're going up to the zoo and they're hanging out with fans. And
Yeah.
we've always preached that drag racing is, when you buy a ticket to the race, you're getting a pit pass with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got the drivers and the teams going out to the fans in the camping areas.
Mm-hmm.
That to
So,
me, that to me is such a selling point on why drag racing is great. I may not like everything that NHRA does, but for this I think is a great thing
I
to
think it is
have
great
that
for that
interaction.
place. And I think, the zoo was epic before I started in NHRA in 2012. So, I mean, they've been doing it for a while. It's what the place is known for. I don't know that we need the zoo somewhere else, but I mean, tracks need to find their way. Vegas used to, every year, because it's on Halloween weekend, all the kids or adults or crew people could dress up in costumes and trick or treat pit to pit. Yeah, you're not out there drinking, playing beer pong, but hey, that was fun. It was fun. We look forward to that. I don't know. I mean, I think like every series, every sanction, every one-off race, you have to find your niche and you have to find what makes you special, important, different, stand out, blah, blah, blah. Same thing I tell people looking for sponsors. You have to find one thing about you and hone in on it, and that's your thing. Because otherwise, you're just a driver, you're just a race, you're just a racetrack, you're just a race series. You got to find that. And what I've always said about the Midwest is, you're going to go to NHRA or you're going to go to PDRA, and it is more structured, it is more regimented, it is more down to the minute, but you're going to come to ours and you're going to have fun. And we are going to be safe. We are going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a really good time with your family and your kids and your team. But if you want, like, you're going to run fourth pair at 8:02, we're not that person. We're not there.
Yeah.
We have to be down, but we are not there. So our niche is the fun people. So not that we are really fun, but I'm just saying that that's our difference.
And from a journalist point of view, there's good and bad with both. I mean, like when I go to a PDRA event or when I used to go to NMRA and NMCA, it was very structured, still is. Like, you knew for the most part what time you were going to be done, when people were running, when you had to be there in the morning, yada yada yada. Which is, as a photographer, is nice because you know where you have to be when you have to be there. Midwest, I wear many hats over there, a lot of hats that people don't realize that I wear. So it's a little bit different, but it is just as enjoyable. And I am not, obviously, based on just what I do for a living, I'm not a huge structure person to begin with. You know that just as well as anybody. Whenever I go somewhere, it's just kind of wing it type of deal. But with that said, I want to transition into, there's a race this weekend. This weekend coming up, PDRA is going to Bristol for the first time. It's Bristol, baby. And I'm looking, I got my trusty handy iPhone. Oh, by the way, my entire case is falling apart. So if anybody wants to sponsor me a new OtterBox case for Pro Max 13, I'll be more than happy. I mean, literally, this thing is falling apart, and I refuse to buy a new phone. I try to get 4 years out of my phones. And this is a 13. The 16 comes out this fall. The 17 will come out next fall. So I'm trying to get this thing to last me at least one more year. I try to get 4 years out of my phones. I know that sounds ridiculous, but unlike Ellen, who's lucky to get about 13 months out of hers, if she's lucky, I try to make mine last 4 years. That's why I also use an OtterBox. So anyways, I digress. Bristol this weekend. Thursday, 81. Friday 83, Saturday 84, sunny, a low on Thursday of 54, low on Friday of 56, low on Saturday of 57.
Ooh, I think that's going to set you up for about as epic as you can get there.
And here's the thing. Because of things beyond my control, I decided that I was not going to go to Bristol. Some of which I thought it was going to be 95 freaking degrees, and my knee and other parts of my body are just not allowing me to do that right now. I look at this weather forecast and I'm like, I should go to Bristol. I'm not going to, because I've got a ton of other things that I've got to do. I can't add another weekend to the front stretch of what's going to be an enormous stretch of events for me. I love PDRA. I love the people over there. I love the product. The weather is going to be amazing for them, which, thank God, because if it was 95 degrees in Bristol, if you want to talk about absolute misery, 95 degrees in Bristol would be it, because there are very few places you are even going to catch shade at that track. And what I mean by catch...
trees. People don't understand what the trees there, the difference in elevation and the oxygen does to cars. Like, it's going to be so epic, and it's so cool to see PDRA going there.
Oh, I agree. it's a huge, it's a large facility. I would liken it to, I think the only other track that they probably go to that compares in size would be Virginia.
Virginia, yeah.
And
It's huge.
yeah,
Because there's a
Bristol,
second track,
yeah. Well, and as a photographer, one of the best places that you could take photos at that track is left lane, about 1,000 feet out at the top of the hill where they park the RVs next to the concession stand where they start that RV parking up there. That is an amazing place to photograph drag racing. Now, it's a little bit different when you're doing NHRA because they're quarter mile stuff or 1,000-foot stuff versus eighth mile. I can't wait. I am really hoping that some of the photographers that do PDRA on a regular basis, one, make the trip to Bristol, and two, go up on that hill and take panning shots from up there. You are going to get some of the best shoot shots that you will ever get in your life because you're already past the eighth mile marker. Shoots are going to be out. You're going to be able to get amazing panning shots. I really, really hope that somebody takes the time to go do that.
Somebody will now.
I know that if I were going, that is where I would spend some of my time, would definitely be up there. Like a whole round Saturday morning or Friday evening, something like that. I would be up there doing, just that, because there's going to be some great opportunity for some great images.
Did you go up to the second level at Flying H and do panning shots when we were there in whatever month that was?
No, because
that was a good spot too.
Oh, and I absolutely will for SmackDown, but we got screwed because of the weather, essentially, and everything got kind of mumbled jumbled around. And I do have to say that one of the things that I truly enjoy about Midwest is that a lot of our racing is done at night, versus in the 2:00 hour where at most tracks the lighting is absolutely horrendous. So I did not get a chance, obviously being there for a week in September, which is funny because I just got invited to a birthday party that weekend, and I'm like, and it's somebody that if it were any other race, because it's in Wisconsin, if it were any other race, I would be like, yeah, I can come. And I told her, I said, listen, huh?
God,
what now?
Isn't that around Katrina's birthday time?
Hers is the 7th. This is actually somebody that she's friends with that I've known for 35, 40 years. And she's like, yeah, it's going to be the weekend of the 20th or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm in Kansas City that weekend. And that's like the one event that I absolutely cannot miss, which
4 Midwest races in 7 weeks is, yeah. And it's really 5 in 7 weeks. Let's just be honest, because we have to beat SmackDown the weekend before. So we basically have Martin. You come home for 4 days. You go to Flying H. You're there for 8 or 9. You come home for 5 minutes. We go to Pine Valley. You come home for 5 more minutes, and then we go to Tulsa for the finale. I know, however, that you have a couple Donald races in between there. God bless America, that would not be me.
So it used to be you. That wholeheartedly used to be you. So Ellen's schedule is Michigan, and then she's got the following weekend off. And then the following weekend, she'll go to Kansas City for Flying H. I have got Yellow Bullet in Maryland on Labor Day weekend, and then I come home on Monday. I fly to Michigan on Wednesday, and then fly home Sunday morning. And after Michigan, which is, again, my birthday weekend, I'll get home Sunday, and then at the end of
on Amazon and purchase that iPhone case for the low price. Anyway.
Yeah. I should add that to. I should put on my Amazon wish list since my birthday is only 2 weeks away. But then the weekend after Yellow Bullet, I've got Michigan. Then I get home from Michigan and I go to Indiana for War in the Woods for Friday and Saturday. Sunday morning, I will wake up next to a cornfield because I sleep in my truck at War in the Woods, because there's like one hotel within like 20 miles of there. Um, and I'm not going to pay those prices. And honestly, I got some of the best sleep I've gotten in years in the back seat of my truck at War in the Woods, because it's so damn quiet there. Because it's like next to cornfields. So I'll get up Sunday morning and immediately drive to Flying H from Indiana. I have to go straight from Indiana, from Brown County Dragway to Flying H, do a week of SmackDown, I'll drive home Sunday, Sunday, and then I will fly to, no, what do I have the weekend after SmackDown? Nothing. I've got a car show here in Tennessee that weekend. Then the following weekend, I've got Pine Valley in Texas, right? Yeah. And Pine Valley in Texas, I'll fly in Wednesday or Thursday. And then we normally get done about midnight, 1 a.m.-ish on Saturday night, Sunday morning. And then somebody has got to take me directly to the Houston airport from the track, pretty much, because I think it's like an hour and a half drive. Take me to the Houston airport for a 5:30 or 6 a.m. flight that I haven't booked yet. Fly home that Sunday. Chris Russell is meeting me at the house Sunday night because he's driving from Memphis and going to go down to No Mercy with me Monday morning, spend an entire week at No Mercy, get home Sunday night. Chris will probably crash here that Sunday night and then drive to Memphis on Monday. And then Tuesday or Wednesday, I turn around and fly to Tulsa for the Midwest World Finals.
So nice that it's in Tulsa.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I am happy about that. And, it's the weekend after that, I was going to go to the Wisconsin-Penn State game at Madison after the weekend after Tulsa. But I have other plans that are nobody knows, so I guess I can't. I'll tell you offline. I don't want my friends who watch this to know, because I got some other stuff going on. Cool. I'll be somewhere. I'll tell you when we're offline. And then I turn around, because it's Halloween weekend already. Then I turn around and I go to South Georgia for Mike Hill's year-end finale, which is probably one of my favorite races of the year.
Love that race.
It's amazing. That, and then I will drive straight from SGMP to Orlando to do World Street Nats the following weekend. And then I think I've got a race in Knoxville the weekend after that, maybe. Mm-hmm. And then we've got Thanksgiving the weekend after that, which is also your birthday. And then the weekend after that, I've got nothing, because I'm probably not going to do snowbirds. And then the weekend after that's PRI. And then 2 weeks after that, we're already at Christmas and leading into New Year's.
I can't. I no.
People do not understand. There is zero downtime between. There's no off season anymore.
Yeah. My downtime this year was pneumonia. So
honestly, my downtime
don't recommend that one.
My downtime has been this summer. I've taken a lot of time off this summer, kind of reflect on what, where I want to go go forward to business wise. And it's been too damn hot. My knee is still really screwed up. I have a hard time even walking upstairs. My right knee is so jacked up and has been for 2 months now. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But in other drag racing news, and I don't know if you saw this, Ellen, Michael Newcomb, who has been running Crossville for a few years now, has made the announcement that he will not be coming back to be the proprietor, essentially, at Crossville starting in the 2025 season. He does not know who's going to take over that role or take over the track, essentially. But Michael is going to concentrate on his business, his heating and air conditioning business, which brings up an interesting point, Ellen. You and I have talked about how much of everything in our industry outside of pro NHRA classes are small business owners.
Mhm.
And when I say small business owners, yes, it may be $1 million businesses, but realistically, $1 million business is a small business. You may have 5, 6, 7, 10 employees. That's a small business.
Mhm.
Or single proprietorships, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
I am seeing more and more. I see Casper's decide to finally join us after
Welcome.
being put in a timeout. I see
Welcome.
more and more business owners selling off their stuff, taking time away from the industry, and things like that. And it worries me that, like, I mean, I never thought I was going to go into a yellow bullet race where we didn't have X275, and that's exactly what we're doing next weekend. Are we in heads up racing? And heads up racing has always been expensive. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not, sugarcoat the bullshit. It has always been expensive to go heads up racing.
Mhm.
Are we getting to the point where is there a point of no return with pricing people out of heads up racing in general?
I think it's cyclical. I think it goes in waves and cycles. We are not at any point ever going to get into politics here, but it's an election year, and that is an uncertainty time in the country. And what are you uncertain about? Well, racing has to be at the top of that list. I mean, to be honest, groceries are so expensive right now. You gotta be pretty certain you can buy groceries. But I think racing is cyclical. You know, people race, they get married, they have kids, they race, then they take time off to grow the kids through sports and stuff. They come back a lot of times when the kids are in college and their businesses are more on their own. So yes, it's the same thing. We see racetracks closing. Well, we see racetracks opening too. Yeah, it's tough. But if you look around, I mean, and I can only pretty much quote this because I have a list of pretty much in every alcohol funny car and pro mod racer in the country that's raced in the last 2 years. It's very, very healthy. Very, very healthy. But yeah, there are a lot of people, tapping out right now.
Might help if I actually unmute my
I was going to
microphone.
say, I can't hear you. I
Yeah,
was tuning in.
I was not ignoring you. In fact, I was reading a text message from another racer that I got. Hi, Casper. In regards to another outlet that is apparently launching a new show with somebody that does covers all types of drag racing from all over the weekend with clips and results. It's a game changer. And
Great. Knock yourselves out, but people, this isn't easy. Just saying.
And the text that I got is they're already doing what you are the king of. So I kind of giggle about that. Like, drag racing and drag racing media is monkey see, monkey do, apparently. But whatever works. We've all got to make efforts to change stuff up and do shit differently. Yellow Bullet is coming up. I am leaving for Yellow Bullet in like 9 days.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you probably miss Yellow Bullet more than a lot of people. One of these days we'll get and here's what I'm going to tell people. And I was thinking about this last night, and yes, I actually did go to bed before 6 a.m. today. I know, I was probably asleep by about 12:45 last night. I had to forcefully make myself turn off my TV show because yet again I'm watching The Blacklist all the way through again. Best TV show probably besides Sons of Anarchy in the last 20 years. So I was thinking about this, and it was a quote. It was a quote that I had previously heard somewhere, probably on social media. There is going to come a time when you experience your last good morning and your last good night. Facts are facts. I mean, that just is the way of life. There is going to come a time where we experience our last yellow bullet, our last World Cup, our last World Street Nationals, our last No Mercy, our last Lights Out, our last this, that, or the other thing in regards to a lot of the Dorkar radial pro mod. Someday, unfortunately, there's going to be a last Midwest, a last PDRA, a last NMCA, a last NMRA in some iteration. So when I tell people you need to get out to the track, you really need to do these things, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do you never know when, your last day is, you never know if all of a sudden Monty calls me in December or January and says, yeah, we're done. Like, it's just... It's too much of a headache because you got to remember, some of these promoters have regular jobs outside of doing racing promotions. There may come a time when the Millers decide, yeah, we're done with World Cup. Or when Ozzy decides that he's done with World Street Nats. I will tell you, there have come a time when I thought that Donald was gonna be done, and Donald and I have had a lot of conversations about when that time and what that time frame looks like and things like that. This shit is not going to go on forever in its current in the current form that we have it. It's not just going to continue. You're not just going to take somebody and throw them in.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it happen with Shakedown. That was, in my mind, there is no Shakedown without David Hance. And we saw what happened when it moved to Norwalk. You have been to a Shakedown iteration, I think,
at every facility.
All three. At E-Town. You even went to the Palm Beach one, didn't you? Yep. Was it Palm Beach?
Yep.
So, and you've been to a Virginia one, correct?
I believe I've been to 2 Virginias, 2 Norwalks, I think 5 E-Towns, and then 1 Palm Beach.
At some point, when you try to allow somebody else to take a name and run with it, it doesn't always work.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I have had this conversation privately. Like, if Donald were to lease out the name or sell the naming rights to Lights Out and No Mercy, sorry, doesn't work.
Nope.
Like, it just, given that event, along with Yellow Bullet and others, have gotten to the point where you don't need to do a whole lot of work in regards to pushing it to the public, if you will.
Sponsors, thank goodness.
But you can't just throw somebody else in charge of it and think that, it's going to be successful.
Referring back to PDRA, PDRA is one of the very few organizations I've ever seen go through different reincarnation versions of owners keeping the PDRA name, and it has built and grown and grown and grown. It doesn't happen very often.
Agreed.
There's that other DRL out there that...
Yeah. I won't even get started on the way that they... And I understand that, people use verbiage or whatever that you want to not sound PC or whatever it is. And you guys know that I use the, verbiage that isn't always PC, but there's a time and a place for everything. And some of the stuff.
Literally, there's so few things in racing that make me just go, oh my God. And that was an oh my God moment when I saw that post. I'm like,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
But neither here nor there.
Right. Not
Because I'm sure I'll threaten to get sued again if I even mention their name. So that is what it is.
Hey, just like Donald, if it's working for you, great. Knock yourself out. Not my gig, but
exactly.
Donald is Donald, and it works.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a love-hate. There's a lot of people who love to hate on Donald because of the way that he does things. And I'm going to bring Donald on sooner than later. I will tell you, Donald will be on the podcast with both of us. Yes, both of us before No Mercy. I promise you that. And it may not just be once. It may be multiple times. Donald and I have already talked about having him on the podcast. He is all for it. And that is going to be... listen, if I had to work for the FCC and had to worry about my language, it's the same reason, folks, that Ellen has never once in the 7 years now that I have been doing Midwest, never once has Ellen gone, "Hey, can you go fill in on the microphone for a little while?"
It has never happened. Chances are it will never happen.
And the funny thing is, I get a lot of people who are like, "Well, you can talk a lot. You're knowledgeable. You can keep the crowd entertained." Yes, but you do not have a delay button, and everything that I say, just so you guys know, in case you can't tell, unlike a lot of other shows, a lot of other drag racing outlets, if you will, podcasts, whatever you want to call them, most of which have a script. If they have a guest, they usually send a guest questions ahead of time, yada, yada, yada. Listen, I could take my camera and show you my whole desk. You know what's on my desk? A cup, a photo lens, a camera battery, my vape, my equipment to do the podcast, my phone. That's it. Like, Ellen will ask me every time, right before
during the 30-second intro, that's when we plan. Hey, what are we talking about today?
I don't know, but we're going to run a 30-second intro and then we're just going to go.
Right.
So yeah, ours is unscripted. Once in a while, I'll toss around an idea. Hey, maybe we should talk about this or address this, but we don't go into how we're going to address it, what we're going to talk about. Anytime that I have guests on, whether it was when I first started this podcast with Ricky Smith and Mark Menser. What are we going to talk about? We're just going to wing it. I'm going to ask open-ended questions, and I'm going to let you answer them. There's no script, none of that shit, because I think scripted sucks. I think you should just play it by ear and wing it. So,
I go off the rails on everything anyway. So,
same.
Why have it?
Yeah, and so just imagine you, me, and Donald off script. Listen, that's going to be sheer entertainment. I don't care what anybody says.
I want that.
So we've got fall coming up.
Uh-huh.
We have a ton. Honestly, my favorite time of year is from September through PRI. That is Labor Day weekend through PRI, which for those of you that don't necessarily pay attention to me on social media, I will be at PRI from Wednesday through Saturday, and I will be expecting to speak to a lot of you. I am not going to do what I did last year. I will be there for more than 6 hours, which was, I think, my total time at PRI last year, including a 2-hour lunch. I've already got dinners already planned for all of us. It will be an amazing time. But if you look at the amount of amazing races that we have in drag racing between Labor Day weekend and PRI, NHRA, you've got, the U.S. Nationals, and you've got Vegas. Well, the two really kind of like, hey, look at me type of races. You've got PDRA's World Finals in Virginia. You've got Yellow Bullet. You've got No Mercy. You've got War in the Woods. You've got No Prep Elites playoff thing.
Which is coming to Tulsa.
You've got Mike Hill's year-end finale, not including all of the other good grudge racing. You've got
I'll be back in 1 second.
yeah. You've got, let me think. You've got No Guts, No Glory in Orlando. We've got so many amazing events packed into essentially September to October, October to November, November to December, 3.5 month time period. Because if you go into the middle of December and start right at the beginning of September, you can find an amazing drag race to go to every single weekend between Labor Day and until we get to PRI. Because even in December, you've got Snowbirds down at Bradenton, which is an amazing event. It is one of those events that I always suggest everybody get to. It is a great facility, and Victor and his crew put on an amazing event when it comes to Snowbird Nationals. But then, like, you know, you've got No Guts, No Glory, which is a huge grudge. You've got Mike Hill's season finale. In bracket stuff, you've got a ton of great fall bracket racing also. So the weather cools down. People are wanting to be outside a little bit more. You know, things like that. Ellen, is fall your favorite time of year for drag racing? Or is spring?
It is. No, fall is. It's hard. I personally don't like the winter races. They've been there forever. They're going to be there forever. It's cool to see the three group together now for a championship. But I don't know. That and big purse races, that's a chat for another day. But I just feel like we're getting to the point where there's so many that you have to choose. And now with this being a 3-race series, it's going to make people choose to do that and not so much follow a series that runs pro mods. Because it no longer matters how much money you have. Race parts are hard to come. I mean, blowers are like unicorns right now. It no longer matters really how much money you have. There are just some products that are hard to come by and not available. And again, not bringing politics into it. It's an election year, which is always traumatic in the world and in racing. If we have any downturn at all in the economy, race companies are going to start producing less product for the shelves and more on demand when they need them. And I just think you're going to see a progression of like we did with COVID. It's hard to get parts. It's hard to get parts shipped. And, you know, you can have to say, I will give you $100,000 for that blower. But if that blower doesn't exist, you know, so that's my problem with the 12-year race calendar the way it is. I don't know. I think people are going to have to choose more than ever. That was absolutely nothing about what you just asked me, but I like fall.
And again, Ellen goes off the rails. Though fall is a great time.
Fall used to just be Yellow Bullet, Shakedown, No Mercy, Orlando. That was literally your only choices in the fall.
Essentially, you had one. Well, when was Shakedown normally? November?
No, Shakedown was normally about mid-September towards the end of September.
So you had Yellow Bullet in Labor Day weekend, then you had Shakedown, and typically you had No Mercy in October, and you would have Orlando in November, and then, you know, obviously World Cup is also in November for the import guys. And then you had Snowbirds in December. So you really had like essentially one a month. Now,
yeah, and it was unheard of. People didn't go from racetrack to racetrack. No, you know, and
now you've got like 3 every weekend.
Yeah, you have to pass some great races to drive to the other great race. You know,
which I have done before. I was going to a race on the East Coast probably 3-4 years ago, and I literally drove past Bristol NHRA. I think it was to go to a PDRA
Mhm.
race or something like that. Like drove right past Bristol. Like literally the exit to go to the track at Bristol on my way to another race. So you're right. And as media, we also have to pick and choose which races we're going to attend, which
Mhm.
races we're going to try to have other people attend for us, things like that. On other news, segueing into this, I don't know if you saw this morning. Justin Wren bought a Pro Mod. In
Miss
fact, he bought, I believe, I'm gonna pull this up quick because I think that you will be a little bit like it ran across my feed at 10:30 this morning when I was getting out of bed or whatever. That does to me look like the old Marty Robertson Pro Mod. The I don't know if you guys can see, this way.
Uh-huh, sure is. Not a doubt.
The
I
one
didn't know
that's
that's who bought it, but I knew about Marty Robertson. He has entered for SmackDown. We have been promoting him. It is my understanding he will not be racing at SmackDown. I don't. Uh, there's just no other information to say right now. It's not my business. But I'm very happy to see Justin Wren bought the car. It will go to a good home.
so Justin said that he will be driving all of the RVW races and Mike Stravinos will be piloting all of the Pro Mod races.
Mike Stravinos has a promo.
Uh didn't Mike sell that one? Didn't I thought Mike sold his Pro Mod?
He's entered with it for Indy, or he's entered for Indy. I didn't know he sold it.
Oh, he may not have. I don't know. I don't.
Huh.
It's so hard, honestly. It's like musical chairs when it comes to who owns what Pro Mod nowadays.
100%.
But I figured that because you know the entire history with obviously the Wren family and everything else, and we've seen Shannon go from the Project X car that everyone looked at and went like, it was always cool to me because I like being different, and it always had something cool on that car to photograph. All the way up to now seeing him, and did you know? Here's an interesting, and I bet you did know because I do believe, if I remember correctly, that you were friends with his father, or at least knew his father. I don't remember which one. Justin's only 28 years old. So yeah,
Lives
I
a lot.
mean,
They have had some tough family situations. I'm not best friends with him, and I don't even know him well, but they've had some tough public family situations.
kudos to Justin though. I mean, that is a top of the line
Oh yeah,
Pro Mod to put yourself in, and
Bad
stepping.
Fish. Wasn't that car called Bad Fish?
No, that was the Barracuda.
Oh, okay.
This is the Camaro. This is the blue Camaro with
Is
the
that the one he recently ran in Nopra?
might be. I think it's.
Oh,
I
had
want to.
several.
It is. Why does it look like? I don't. It's a blue. It's a blue Camaro with a USA. It says USA on the blower or across the blower. I
It's the
thought.
same color as the Barracuda,
Yeah.
right? Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Stravinos is still entered with a 69 Camaro for Indy Pro Mod, but you never know that's actually accurate.
Yeah. You
28 Pro Mods for Indy already.
really.
Yeah.
Kudos to them.
There's nothing that is just shocking to me. It's just like
What do
everybody
we?
who's run all year and parts and pieces has come together.
Well, and let's think about this a second. I just want to touch on this because I know there was a post made about how closely the rules are in most organizations. I'm not going to go down the road and we're not going to go over all of that. But what I want to say is, and Victor is going pro mod racing now too.
Yes.
So, obviously pro mod is, I don't want to say the flavor of the day because pro mod's been flavor of the day for a long time. It's been pro mods, radial, no prep. I mean, that's really been the flavor, if you will. Let's think about this. You just said there's 20, how many entered for Indy? 28?
28. That's a very healthy number.
And I'm willing to bet there's at least that many for Yellow Bullet on the exact same weekend in different parts of the country. And then the following weekend, you've got the Midwest race.
And the weekend before Indy, you've got PDRA Bristol, so you've got that chunk.
So anybody who...
That's probably 100 pro mods.
Easily.
100 different names in a 2-week span.
And that's the way, that's what, that makes me happy, and that makes me realize that drag racing is still in a healthy place when you can have in a 3-week stretch, you can have PDRA, Midwest, NHRA, Yellow Bullet, who Yellow Bullet normally gets a lot of the Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod guys. You've essentially got 4 events that you will probably see at least 100 different Pro Mod cars between those 4 events. That says a lot in regards to the health of that class, the health of the rules, 1/8 mile, 1/4 mile, everything. There is a place, and these people that want to argue about, well, we've always had this. It's just more predominant nowadays with having to choose what race you're going to go to as a driver. And you just touched on this. There are some people that like to question the decisions made by other organizations for having a huge race on the same weekend as another race, and I think it's kind of funny that nobody bitches about Yellow Bullet being on NHRA weekend, but they bitch about other races being on other NHRA weekends.
We used to joke that the only person that bitched was Steve Petty because he's torn like a rubber band between it, but obviously Proline has a slew of very qualified tuners now, so.
And speak of that, we will be having one of the, in my opinion, one of the best tuners period, point blank, ever to do it, will be on the show sooner than later, and that's Josh Ledford. Josh and I have already talked, and he will be on the show as well. I have no idea what else.
While you're talking here, go ahead, keep talking. This is my Pro Mod spreadsheet of this is just Pro Mod racers that have been on a qualifying sheet in the last 3 years. All of those. Very healthy.
22 pages worth.
Yeah.
And I just saw that Louis Ouimet's car is at Tim Lyon's shop.
And Louis Ouimet will be at SmackDown
for some updates. And I'm assuming he'll probably be at No Mercy on for Radio vs. the World as well. So I think we're in a healthy place. I just get a little bit concerned when I see people like sell stuff off, and then I also have to remember half the time they're selling stuff off to buy other stuff. So
it happened with an alcohol funny car racer yesterday. He made a post with his car for sale, and I'm like, I'm typing him a message. You're not quitting. The very bottom. No, I'm not quitting getting a new car. I'm like, well, thank you. Save me a message.
I really wish, and here's a suggestion, drivers. If you're going to put your shit up for sale, the very first line after it says for sale, please put the next line, and no, I'm not getting out. Now, I know that there are some that are getting out, unfortunately. I saw one yesterday or 2 days ago that you and I talked about. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But for those who are not getting out, please preference your entire post with, we're not leaving racing, because You get entirely too many people that all they see is for sale and they see the photos. They never read the entire post.
No, yeah,
And then it becomes 10 million questions about, are you quitting drag racing? So,
yeah, yeah. Do not spool me up over that one, please, people.
no. Ellen, are you going to be available to come back with us next week again?
Should be. I'll be here. Yeah, here. Yeah.
Because I wanna make sure that we can get a show in before I go to Yellow Bullet. And Ellen and I will. Luckily, we could do this with our phones if we wanted to. I will try to record a show while we're in Michigan as well. I know that some of you have asked that we do live shows as well. We just have to figure out a time frame that works for both her and I and our audience that's not interfering with other people's shows because, well, there's no point in us overlapping on other people's shows. So, and making them
fun in Michigan. I'm not putting you on the spot, but since we literally all fly in Wednesday afternoon, it might be cool to have a little round table of our people and chat about something.
We absolutely could.
Sounds like it might be fun to get different opinions.
That's not a bad idea. We'll have to figure something out. We'll talk about that. But
with Michael Narks and my gas station hotel lobby beer. That's how we get through race weekend.
That's how they get through race weekend. I get through race weekend by actually sleeping. But
well, we do too, but after a busy day at the track, it is exciting to go to the gas station and buy the large Mike's Hard Lemonade, and we sit in the hotel lobby and we all talk about each other.
Mike's Hard Lemonade. Hey, Mike's Hard Lemonade, if you're listening, or for all our fans, tag Mike's Hard Lemonade. If you want to sponsor Mike's Hard Lemonade, if you want to sponsor somebody, you need to sponsor Ellen. Because for years, her and them, Mike's Hard Lemonade in the big silo cans at the gas station, and her phone is sideways. That's how excited she is about Mike's Hard Lemonade. But, and again, if anybody, Apple Pro Max 13, if anybody wants to buy me an OtterBox, because this is literally, it's like ripped down the sides and like, yeah.
That's for like these.
Great, we're just pimping out products that we need at this point. If we're going to start doing that, my list is long. I need a new refrigerator, that's for sure, because it barely even keeps milk cold anymore. So it's neither here nor there.
Time for us to go.
Yes. So we appreciate you guys dropping by, deciding to watch and or listen. Again, a huge, huge thank you to Menser Motorsports and Classic Graphics. They have been on with us forever. Again, sporting I keep forgetting that I've got my camera flipped around today. These are the new black and pink E3 shirts. And I also have
sporting my pajamas still. Sponsored by me.
You going to Walmart or Waffle House later?
Look, I'm not even leaving the house. This working at home thing.
Dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. Apparently her job is sleeping.
I have 2 jobs and I'm in pajamas because when my alarm went off this morning, my butt started working literally within the same 30-second span. So
dress for the job you want, not the job that you have. Actually, if that were true, I'd just dress like a ninja every day. So, there's that.
Jobs. How many do I need? I have 2 good jobs. How many do I need?
That's a valid point. So,
all right, it's time to go. But we love you. We appreciate Menser, Classic Graphics, and everyone else who supports E3 throughout the season, throughout each race. I appreciate everyone who supports Midwest, and we really would love to see you at SmackDown. I mean, we'd love to see you at all the races, but that one's going to be kind of special and fun. Again, we're the fun series.
And Michigan will be just insane like usual. Can't
wait. Fun Car Nationals.
Can't wait for Michigan. Samuel Peterson and his entire family will be there. And
Ryan Hill's coming with his nostalgia car, which means Mad Maxine is coming. So excited.
So quickly before we go, we're going to have a lot of questions. If we do a round table at Michigan, we're going to need a grass report.
Oh yeah.
Going to need a grass report from Michigan. Ellen likes to give her grass reports.
It's very
And
important there.
it really is.
It has a life of its own. I'm going to ask for a grass report this week and see if I can, lead up into our race there, what we should expect with the grass.
Fair enough. So, like I said, if you like what we're doing, crush that subscribe button, crush the notification button, leave us comments about what you want us to talk about. I mean, we will, with the exception of politics and social whatever, if it's motorsports related, we'll talk about it. I know that there's another, and I'm really interested to get your take on this. Kyle Larson came out and pretty much said that with the exception of F1 and Indy, if you put Max Verstappen in any other thing, he would pretty much donkey stomp him. And that's been a lot of controversy around motorsports in the last 4 or 5 days. And, I'll just say this to end. I agree with Kyle.
Kyle has been racing the fool out of his dirt car while flying across the country to do NASCAR at the same time the last 3 weeks. It's amazing.
Yeah, like I said.
And rest in peace, Scott Bloomquist. We lost him.
Absolutely. So
anyway, we gotta go or we're never gonna go.
Yeah, until next week, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Those that are listening on streaming services, make sure to subscribe. We're going to keep on doing this as long as you guys are interested in it. And if you're not, well, we don't care because we enjoy doing it anyways. So until next time, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.